Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to look at why it can be really useful sometimes to swap or even skip runs entirely. Now, we're really going to look at this from the context of managing pains, aches and injuries. This is when the main reason you would probably want to do that. However, there are other contexts. If you're particularly stressed, if you're finding that things are just getting on top of you, then do something different. Sometimes it can be exactly what mentally you need to get through the rest of your training block, building into your marathon or other distance race. Now, what we're going to look at for marathon managing injuries, is that we want to make sure we're not overloading the body. So if we change the modality, so changing to a swim or a cycle, we're taking away that impact. So if you've got a knee pain, swim or bike could do loads of good for your cardio still. Actually, the buoyancy of swimming can actually take some pressure off the area, but also not adding stress to the area by going for that run. Doesn't always mean we need to change the cardio type though. Sometimes swapping it can just mean swapping the session type. If you're meant to be doing, say, a 10-mile interval session run with 6 miles of pace in the middle, then you might go, I'm going to do 10 miles, but I'm going to do 10 miles easy. That can be a very valid method of doing that as well. So swapping isn't always about just a complete change. It can be just swapping out what you're planning to do. Even changing the order sometimes can be really useful, as long as it doesn't negatively impact future sessions. But if you've got a 10-mile effort session there and the next day is going to be 4 miles easy, try swapping them. If they give you enough time to then run later on in a couple of days' time to do, say, a long run, for instance, then fine, swap them around. That is going to do no harm at all. That extra day of recovery might just be all you need to go, actually, no, that's fine. I was just having a bit of a moment. Let's crack on and go for it. But that opportunity is there to take that chance. Now, the reason we want to do this is that consistently good training is better than swinging for the fences and hitting a massive, massive bad stroke of luck or a bad patch in training. So I've done this. I have gone. You know what? I'm really on the verge of this. I'm feeling okay. It's a little bit sore, but nothing too bad. But I've got this big race. It's coming up. I'm on this training. I need to get this done, and I've gone and I then have either in that race or that event or in that training session gone, that was a mistake, or certainly afterwards, I've certainly had that. For instance, this year, 2024, I was training for the London Marathon, felt great, went to the Cambridge Half Marathon, messed up my right hip in the final miles with the twists and turns. Didn't have any warning signs, but in the week afterwards, I really didn't manage this very well. I had the 2:30 goal for London in mind. I was like, I've got to keep the volume, got to keep running. I should have taken the week off. I should have gone, no, what? I've got my bike here. I'll jump on the bike for a week, keep moving, keep the cardio going. But I was obsessed with keeping that working. I had this big vision in mind. I was on target for that based on all the training runs and the racing I'd done. But I should have done things differently. I wasn't willing to skip it, and it's something I have done in the past. I've made those choices, I've made those decisions last year, and it can work incredibly well and keep your fitness much higher than you think. Equally, if you've got some aches and pains, you're coming into your taper, then actually swapping out is a great idea. It can give you a better taper. It means you maybe can cut down that length of taper, give you maybe another week where you can pick up some training in the final, 3 weeks out from the race. You might do, I'm going to go back to training for 1 week, see how everything holds up, and then taper down. So it isn't always a bad idea to do this. It can actually be very, very beneficial in just managing those aches and pains, making sure that a small little niggly thing doesn't become a full-blown injury or something that makes you miss the race entirely, as I've unfortunately had this year. So please learn from my mistakes, and I know this stuff, but again, applying it sometimes is not as easy as it seems, especially when you've got a big goal that you're working towards, and it's not a defined, oh, there's this thing, I've really kind of messed that up. But please be willing to make those changes. Don't stick too strictly to it when you are having doubts of these things. If you've got any questions about it, listen to what your body is telling you. Take it into consideration rather than sticking rigidly to what's been planned, either for you or what you have planned. You're willing to make some adaptations, reducing the intensity of the session, swapping out the sport, or just missing it entirely. Take that rest and recovery. Give the body what it needs to make sure you can continue training, building up really, really well, and say be consistent in the long term. That is where your success will come from.